All right, it is 9:30. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll get our pre-meeting started. Our council meeting will start at 10 o'clock. Approval of minutes. There were no changes. Any questions? Okay, approval of monthly bills. There were no changes. Any questions? All right, weed abatements. All right, any questions on the weed abatements? All right, resolutions. Resolution 23-345, approve extension of special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing equipment located at 522 T Laurel Street Southwest. Any questions? Resolution 23-346, amend Merit System Rule 8 for firefighting employees. Okay. Any questions? All right, resolution 23-347, approve one-time holiday pay increase. Any questions? Resolution 23-348, approve one-time pay increase for wellness participation. Any questions? Resolution 23-349, approve grant application to recycling partnership for expansion of recycling facility. Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-350, approved confidentiality agreement, Old Moulton Road improvements, A-Trip to application needs. All right, any questions? Resolution 23-351, approve Aldott City Maintenance Agreement, Bibb Garrett Overpass. Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-352, approve Wisner Modus Road right-of-way acquisition proposal. Any questions? Resolution 23-353, authorize mayor to sign agreement with Fike Building Company for construction management services for recreation center project.
No change.
Any questions? Resolution 23-354, approve the purchase and planting of the replacement trees downtown.
No change.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-355, approve additional lighting for City Hall North parking lot.
No change.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-356, approve maintenance items at the Carnegie Visual Arts Center.
No change.
Any questions? Resolution 23-357, approve parking deck cameras and installation project.
The only changes were ones that I anticipated. I mentioned the quote that I was waiting on came out about $5,000 less.
Less? Okay. All right, any questions on that? All right, resolution 23-358, approve rollover of funding for previously approved items and projects.
No changes.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 23-359, approve the mayor to accept and sign the contract with Building Construction Associates Incorporated for the hardscapes, landscapes, and playground at Chestnut Grove outdoor recreational area.
No change.
Any questions? Ordinance 23-4571, approve annexation request 37523 for approximately 4.9 acres located at 222 and 223 Beltline Road Southwest. Any questions? All right, boards and committees, reappoint Harold Gilmore to the Personnel Board, term expiring December 31st, 2028. Any questions? Reappoint Frank Pate to the Construction Industries Board, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Any questions? Reappoint Mark McCurry to the Board of Zoning Adjustment to a full member, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Any questions? Appoint Wendy Treadway to the Ambulance Regulatory Board, term expiring August 19th, 2027. Any questions? All right, we'll get started at 10.
Stephanie, how many terms has Frank done on the Construction Industries Board?
Sure.
They never meet, so I mean,
Yes, but whenever we got those back, meeting together, this will be his second.
second. Okay, thank you. check them and get to you, so
How do you?
I've been laxing on that and I should not have been. That's fine.
And
I think the minutes are all good. I think I checked those before.
do what? No, I'll just, if we take them at one, all at once.
I ain't checked those before. They're all good. But, 10/9/20.
10/9/20.
Morning. They went down and did it, didn't they? That's pretty good. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I watched the playback of it, but I watched the playback before of the last one that they did too, and they were like, they're completely flawless. They are. They're in sync with everything. Everybody's hitting the floor at the same time. They're completely flawless. It's pretty amazing. It is really amazing. I gotta tell you this, my daughter was
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Reverend Kenneth Owens will lead us in our invocation and pledge. Sorry, Edward Owens.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we come before you this morning. Father, we humble ourselves before you, recognizing and honoring your sovereignty. And oh God, we desire, want, and need your presence among us today. Be with us, oh God. This we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Owens. Roll call. Here. 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 All right, we will move into our agenda. First on the agenda is approval of minutes. We'll take these as one item.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
The minutes are all approved, the vote of 5-0. Move to approval of monthly bills, and we did have a request for check 10920 to be voted on separately, so we'll take that check first.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Check 10920 is approved 4-1, and the rest of the monthly bills.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
October 2023 monthly bills are approved 5-0. Next we'll move to weed abatements, resolution 23-329.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
Just I've always said that the city of Decatur is not, we're not doing an adequate job of taking care of our properties, and I expect our citizens to take care of their property, but I do think we're holding them to a different standard than we're at, so I will not support these today.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-329 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-330.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-330 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-331.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-331 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-332.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-332 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-333.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-333 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-334.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-334 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-335.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-335 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-336.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-336 approved 4-1. Resolution 23-337.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-337 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-338.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-338 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-339.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-339 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-340.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-340 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-341.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-341 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-342, assess.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-342 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-343.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
23-343 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-344.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-344 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-345, approve extension of a special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing equipment located at 522T Laurel Street Southwest.
Yes, good morning, Mayor, Council. My name is David Ammett with CMS. T-Mobile has made a request for an extension for the special use permit that was previously approved by the council. This is for the modification of their equipment at 522 Laurel Street. They will be submitting a new application fee for the extension in the amount of $2,500.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-345 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-346,
So
amend
moved.
Merit System Rule 8 for firefighting employees. I have a motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. Pike.
Sorry.
Michelle.
Anything else?
Okay, Rochelle HR, Chief Springer Fire Department. This is a proposal that came forward to the Personnel Board back in the summer to adjust the schedule for the fire department from 24 on, 48 off to 48 on, 96 off in order to make that happen logistically. There are some adjustments that need to be made to the merit system, which is the employment policy for the city, and those are italicized in your document. And Chief Springer can answer any questions you might have.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've got a discussion, all right. When we talked about this before, one of the things that we talked about, Chief Springer, was the fatigue factor. And we looked at the fact that we're going from 24 hours on to 48 hours on and 48 hours off and 96 hours off. And when I look back and I looked at all of their studies on this everywhere, but most of the studies are actually in favor of, and they pretend to be in favor and in opposition of, and then there are some that are in opposition to, and they pretend to be in opposition and in favor of. They're kind of back and forth. Then I found one study that was actually a comparative analysis, and the thing that I'm concerned with is the fact that we have firefighters who are going to be working 24 hours normally, and then they're off for 48 hours, as I said before, and now we're looking at 48 hours. And I think that we have to look at our busiest stations versus our least busy stations to make this analysis and make it work. And our busiest stations are running pretty much all the time. Station 5 is going constantly. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're about to say something? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were about to say something. Yeah, I thought you were about to say. And the thing is that recovery time is the big issue here. And we talked about 70% of our firefighters being in favor of, but when I contacted personnel, and it looks at 74.77% of our firefighters and fire personnel live outside of our city limits. So, you know, I guess my concern is simply this. If we're going to go to 48 hours, and fatigue is already a factor for some stations, and we go to 48 hours, the quality of care that our citizens is going to get is going to be reduced. And I'm not in a position where I'm going to support, and I'll just tell you right up front, I can't support this because I understand the convenience for the firefighters. When they signed on, you guys knew what you were signing on for when you signed on for the 24-hour shift. Over the quality of care for our citizens. And that's what really concerns me is the quality of care. You know, we have firefighters and most fire trucks, just doing research, range from 20,000 pounds to 40,000 pounds. So we'll have fatigued firefighters in this situation. When we already have fatigued firefighters, we'll have fatigued firefighters driving a 20 to 40,000 pound vehicle at a really high rate of speed. And so that endangers our citizens. The care that we're going to get once we go into the home, and I'll read the last paragraph of the comprehensive study that I thought was most comparative. It says, lastly, fire companies of truck units that have 3 or more calls per night, resulting in insufficient deep restorative sleep for the brain to function effectively, will be too sleep deprived to be safe and effective in their second 24-hour on-duty day. And that was just one sentence out of the last conclusion paragraph conclusion. But it basically tells us, and that was the most fair study that I could get, but it tells us that our firefighters are going to be fatigued after day one, especially at a busy station, and that's going to put our citizens at risk, and that's going to put the care of our citizens in a diminished state. So, I mean, how do you even respond to that?
I just want to add one thing to it as well. I have a question to add on top of his question. Is there a plan in place in the event that there is a truck that runs nonstop? So like I said before, you know, I work in EMS. If we run nonstop, there's a thing where we can go into downtime to make sure that we're able to rest up before we go run another call. And we have other trucks that will come to our station and sit to make sure that we're able to get that downtime. Is there something in place planned in the event that a truck runs nonstop for 24 hours straight to ensure that there is some downtime available for that busy truck? I think that our 2 busiest trucks are Station 3 and Station 5. Those are our busiest stations. So is there something in place for them to be able to get some downtime in the event that they run nonstop?
So there is. We're actually, a lot of this is the operational side of things that we don't know exactly how our department will respond to certain parts. So what we're going to do is we're taking what we do know, the studies and the reviews, and we will apply that. We'll take feedback from our personnel. I will say first and foremost, the care and the safety of our citizens and our personnel is the top priority. If we run into a situation where either of those are diminished, we will absolutely respond to that immediately to make sure that is addressed. So we will be allowing for some downtime on those moments where we're up all night fighting a fire. We will make some adjustments.
The only thing is that, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but we have a finite number of firefighters. And so on each shift we have roughly 24 to 32 firefighters in all 8 stations combined, somewhere between there. So if we moved one station into that role where they're going to take up for the drivers who have been going all night, then that decreases the care or the possibility for care in that other station. And we have systematically put our stations around the city to accommodate the needs of our citizens. So again, even though some stations might not run as much, we don't know when that thing's going to ring. The other thing that is of issue is the amount. If a person calls in sick on this, and I understand you've got a plan for that as well. I've heard that plan too. But when a person's already worked 48 hours and then somebody's got to stay over for another 12 hours or whatever the system is going to be, that exacerbates the system even more and further. So, I mean, again, I don't know how we do this, and this is just my perspective. The other council members might support this, but I can't support this because I don't know how we do this and keep, even though you say that we're gonna keep our citizens out of harm's way and keep the quality of care there, I don't know how we do that and make all of that work. I just don't know how that's gonna work. The other thing too, I'll have to say, when I did the research, there were stations around the city, around the nation that have done this. And Albuquerque was the only really large one that I could find. Albuquerque, New Mexico, really large city. The others were cities of populations of 8,000, 11,000, and 15,000, much smaller than ours, where they might have 1 or 2 stations in that city, and they can probably accommodate that a whole lot better than we can. And their needs, they don't run nearly as much as some of our stations do. So that was also a concern for me, but I cannot support this today, and those are reasons why.
Just to add to that, also, I mean, it's obvious there's, I've had to do a 48 before. I'm sure a lot of our firefighters have had to stay over for additional overtime, or I think there's mandatory overtime moments where somebody calls out sick, they have to stand. So there's already individuals doing 48-hour shifts. It's just the concern of the ones that have not done a 48-hour shift in a long time.
But like I said the other night, one individual on a crew that's doing 48-hour shifts, a 48-hour shift is not the same as an entire crew that's going to be tired.
Agreed.
And doing that 48-hour shift. And when you have that 48-hour shift in place and that entire crew has done that, and then that 1 or 2 individuals that has to go over and stay for another 12 or 24 hours or whatever the case may be, then that's going to be a person that's going to be completely fatigued, especially at a busy station. But anyway, I see you taking notes. You can respond if you want to.
I was just making.
Oh, okay.
sure.
All right. Okay. I thought you wanted to
So
respond.
as far as the moments that maybe a unit has to be put out of service for some rest time, we also have an administrative staff that a large majority are paramedics. So we could actually put ourselves into that unit and respond to give some downtime. We are preparing to kind of make those adjustments as needed. Hopefully those times will be few and far between, but like right now, if we have 2 working structure fires, our administrative staff staffs up some reserve trucks to make sure the city is still covered. So that's one avenue that we've
But
got.
I'll counter that a little bit by saying that I don't know how it is exactly right now today, but there have been times when we've had administrative staffs who have not been in a leadership position necessarily on the floor. So to put them out there is not the same thing as putting a lieutenant or a battalion chief or somebody else on the floor at the same time. So go ahead.
So everyone that works on the administrative staff has worked in operations. We have a 5-person training division, and they all have to stay up on their skills and things to be able to teach. So they're able to staff up the training truck or one of our 2 reserve trucks, if that's needed. Everyone else has served as either a battalion chief running a shift. We'll put a 2nd battalion chief in sometimes to cover the city if the primary battalion chief is working a fire. So we've already got some things in place that we're already trying to incorporate, and we'll just roll that into those moments that you're speaking of, that if we have to put a truck out of service for a little bit to let them catch up, get a little rest or something. And so we don't know how many times that's going to happen, so that's going to be part of the ability for us to be flexible and adaptable to this change.
Yeah.
As far as the sick leave goes, something else we've found in a lot of the studies and just talking to some different folks that work in the fire profession is having those 4 off days. A lot of people want to come in and work overtime on one of their 2 middle off days. They can come in and work a 24-hour shift and still have 1 or 2 days off before they come back in for their 48-hour shift. So that's some other opportunities we have to adjust how we currently do overtime versus the way we could do it with this schedule change.
With this new system, you're looking at, for instance, a firefighter accrues 1 day every 2 months. In the new system, they're going to acquire 1 day every 4 months, and I understand that as far as sick time goes. But if a person calls in sick for a 48-hour shift, because this is changing from shifts to tours now, correct?
So,
They're called
so
tours.
1 24-hour day will be a shift, and then that combination 48 will be a tour. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if a person calls in sick on, if he or she is supposed to work for the first 48 hours, and he calls in for that, off that tour, or if he calls in sick for that tour, then they're expected to be off that first 24 hours, but they're expected to come in, from what my conversations with firefighters, they're expected to come in that second 24 hours. So if somebody's got the flu, and then they come in that second 24 hours trying to keep from losing their sick times, then they're going to infect everybody. And this is, I mean, again, I just think that, I have concerns about this, and we'll just leave it at that.
So in those situations, if they take off that full 48 hours, they're getting 10 days off together. So in the schedule we work now, if the 24/48s, they would still potentially have to take those 2 shifts off within a span of 7 days. So you're actually getting a little more freedom there with.
You're getting some more recovery time. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're getting some more recovery time, but as it was explained to me, the sick time is being diminished at this particular point.
No, we're increasing the sick time.
No, not the overall, but it's being diminished because of the accrual rate. And when they're out, they're expected to come in, if they're calling in for a tour, which is 48 hours now,
Yes, sir.
they're expected to miss that first 24 hours, but they're expected to come in that second 24 hours.
No, sir, we would not want anyone to come in sick. If they have something like the flu, they would more than likely be off that 48. Some folks may have sick children that they have to take off, that is allowed using our sick leave.
Yeah.
So they could take that first day off if a spouse was able to take off the second day, to make some kind of adjustment like that. That would be
Yeah.
a situation where they would take 1 shift and not the whole tour.
Okay. We're not gonna agree on this, but anyway, the thing is that I am not willing to compromise the quality of care for our citizens versus just convenience for our employees. And again, our employees knew what they were signing up for when they came on to this. Just like we all do when we take a job, we know what we're signing up for, and in this particular case, I don't see how the quality of care is not diminished, especially at our busier stations.
At the end of the day, I've spoke to quite a bit of firefighters and talked to them about this that work within the city. I've also spoke to individuals from all the way down to Mobile that work in fire department. They said they'd love to see something like this. So I think there's enough morale in the department that has been created due to this. So I'm excited to see the outcome.
Morale's not gonna fill those spaces when people are sick and people are out.
What impact, if any, could this have on an ISO rating?
It should not impact the ISO rating.
I tried to read as many of the studies out there. There are a lot of them, and I think I read the same one. It sounded similar, and the conclusion that guy reached, and
Actually, no, it's a female, I'm sorry.
okay, then maybe it was a different one. That person, it was a male, the one I read, so it must have been different, but was very comparative, and basically the conclusion was the positive impact seemed negligible with some of the concerns that Mr. Jackson raised, but none of the studies, to me, I mean, some of them said there's tons of mental health benefits for the firefighters and those, kind of with moving to the 4896. I just couldn't find anything that was heavily, one way or the other. And so kind of I fall back on, it seems like the leadership of the department thinks this is what's best for your department. And really, I think at the end of the day, your goal from a pragmatic standpoint is to provide the best care to our citizens as possible. And you think by moving in this direction, I do think those are concerns that I read throughout a lot of the research that's out there. So we need to make sure we have that in mind, that guys are not, we do definitely have stations that get a lot less, way less calls than others. And so those that are gonna have a lot more calls throughout the night, if we move to this, we've gotta have plans in place to make sure those concerns are mitigated. So, but there are some that I know might not get any call throughout a shift, so, even 2 shifts. So I think I can get on board with supporting it with the caveat of all those type of concerns are valid, and we need to make sure there are plans, and I know you guys have been working on this for a while, to mitigate some of that concern. So I'll support it in a pilot type, like Chief mentioned last week. All right, any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second. Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Resolution 23-346 approved 4-1. Resolution 23-347 approved one-time holiday pay increase.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-347 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-348 approved one-time pay increase for wellness participation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Wyden.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Thank you.
Pepper.
Pepper.
Oh, aye.
Resolution 23-348 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-349 approved grant application to Recycling Partnership for expansion of recycling facility.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Suzanne Henderson, Grants Administrator. This is a no-match $300,000 recycling partnership grant, and this is to help with the expansion of the recycling facility.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-349 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-350 approved confidentiality agreement, Old Moulton Road improvements, A-Trip 2 application needs.
Yes, Mayor, Council, Carl Pruitt, City Engineer. This is an agreement for us to apply for the A-Trip 2 funding for this project. Basically, from my understanding, it's the information data gathered by the state for public consumption needs to be requested by the state.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-350 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-351 approve Aldott City Maintenance Agreement, Bibb Garrett Overpass.
Yeah, our overpass project is substantially complete. This is an agreement between the state and the city of what the state will maintain and what the city will maintain.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-351 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-352 approve Wisner Modus Road right-of-way acquisition proposal.
Yeah, we're at the stage of this one where we can start the appraisal process for right-of-way acquisitions. And we got an appraisal from Bradley Wisner, and I recommend approving it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Pepper, second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-352 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-353 authorize mayor to sign agreement with Fight Building Company for construction management service for recreation center project.
Good morning, Jeremy Sherrill, Procurement. On September 6th, we partnered with Parks and Recreation to solicit a request for qualifications to various construction management firms seeking management oversight of the upcoming Recreation Center project at Wilson Morgan. We received feedback and proposals from 4 firms in total, conducted interviews with each one of them, and we are recommending this agreement be signed with Fight Building with funding from the 3M settlement funds.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion?
I did not support this project from the very beginning. The Recreation Center, the Aquadome, is being removed from its current position and being moved way out so that people of that community who are in need of that recreation facility don't have one now or any access to one, many of those people, so I won't support this today.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Widener.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-353 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-354 approved the purchase and planting of replacement trees downtown.
Yes. Mayor, Council, Jason Lake Parks and Recreation. This is to replace the trees from all the way from Rhodes Ferry all the way through downtown. Most of these trees were killed with the freeze last winter. Some of them also had, if anybody notices, there was a gray color on some of the crepe myrtles over the last couple of years. We sprayed those to try to get rid of that disease. Some of them came back, some of them didn't. The ones that didn't are on this list as well.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
How much is it gonna cost?
It was 20, yeah, it was right around 20.
Yeah.
That was for labor for Superior to put them in and for the tree, and for the replacement tree.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-354 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-355, approve additional lighting for City Hall North parking lot.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters.
This would be adding a 25-foot tall dual-headed LED fixture to the north parking lot, and it would also be adding some landscaping lighting in our entrance and exit area here where the island is, where the crepe myrtle has recently been trimmed. So that's what that's pertaining to.
We do have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-355 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-356, approved maintenance items at the Carnegie Visual Arts Center.
This would be for approval of the removal and replacement of attic insulation, and also the addition to add a industrial grade dehumidifier to the building to control the humidity level in the building.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-356, approved 5-0. Resolution 23-357, approved parking deck cameras and installation project.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Brad?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Brad Phillips, Information Systems. As you said, this resolution is to approve the funding for the cameras and network equipment for the parking deck.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll simply say that this is another project that I've not supported from the beginning, and I won't support it today.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
No.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-357 is approved 4-1. Resolution 23-358, approved rollover of funding for previously approved items and projects.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, Dawn Roniger, Finance Department. This is, as of 9:30, our projects and capital purchases that were in progress that you all had approved for the FY23 budget year that were not yet complete. This is a housekeeping matter to roll these funds over.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McMaster, second by Mr. Pepper. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike. Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-358 is approved 5-0. Resolution 23-359, approve the mayor to accept and sign the contract with Building Construction Associates Incorporated for hardscapes, landscapes, and playground at Chestnut Grove Outdoor Educational Area.
Yes, through the purchasing process, we did not get a qualified bidder that bid on this project. So we reached out to a couple different people that could be GCs on this project. We came to an agreement with them. This is the contract for them to accept to complete the park out at Chestnut Grove. Yeah, it's under the allotted amount of money that we currently have, so we're recommending that for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pepper,
Second.
second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call.
Lightner.
Aye.
McMaster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Pike.
Aye.
Pepper.
Aye.
Resolution 23-359 is approved 5-0. Next, we have ordinance first reading, ordinance 23-4571, approve annexation request 375-23 for approximately 4.9 acres located at 222 and 223 Beltline Road Southwest.
Good morning, Chris Stone, City Planning. This is 4.9 acres. There's a current manufacturing facility here, M&J Fabrication. and they're requesting annexation to have access to city sewer.
All right, any discussion or questions? All right, moving to boards and committees, reappoint Harold Gilmore to the Personnel Board, term expiring December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters. Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
We recently reappointed Neil Holland to the Decatur Utilities Board for a 4th term. Our policy calls for 2 terms. We appointed that person to a 4th term. I didn't support that because that's a 9-year term, 36 years for Mr. Holland. In this particular term, as I said earlier, our policy calls for 2 terms, or 2 terms. This is basically Mr. Gilmore's 5th term, so I won't support this today.
I'm also not going to support Mr. Gilmore's today as well.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Reappointment of Harold Gilmore to the Personnel Board's approved 3-2. Reappoint Frank Pate to the Construction Industries Board, term expiring December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMasters.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pike. Any discussion?
How many terms has he had?
2.
Second term, okay.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
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 Frank Pate is reappointed to the Construction Industries Board with a vote of 5-0. Next is reappoint Mark McCurry to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, moving him to a full member, term expiring December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McMaster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pepper.
Is this going to be his second?
He's actually moving into.
So it'll be his first full term. Okay, okay.
Been supernumerary.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call. Aye.
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 Mark McCurry is reappointed with a vote of 5-0. Appoint Wendy Treadway to the Ambulance Regulatory Board, term expiring August 19th, 2027.
So moved.
This would be her first term. Motion by Mr. Pepper.
Second.
Second by Mr. McMasters. Any discussion? Roll call. Aye.
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 Wendy Treadway is appointed to the Ambulance Regulatory Board with a vote of 5-0. We'll now move into public comment. And we'll go kind of how we have before. I think the mayor had a statement he wanted to give before we moved into public comment.
Thank you, Council President. I want to provide an update with the latest information on the city's investigation into the death of Steve Perkins. I apologize if I sound muffled as well. I tested positive for COVID last week. Following the latest guidelines, I have finished my quarantine period, but I still need to wear a mask. As you likely know, the Decatur Police Department has concluded its investigation, and Chief Pinion determined the police department policies were violated. Counsel for the city advises me that he is in receipt of Chief Pinion's determinations. He anticipates recommending discipline as a result of those determinations and providing me with a formal statement of charges and specifications on Wednesday, November the 22nd. Hearing of any proposed discipline will be tentatively scheduled for December 4th, subject to the availability of the parties and witnesses. In any hearings, I will hear the facts of the case and decide if discipline is warranted and to what extent. Under Alabama law, any decision can be appealed to the Personnel Board if any officer is disciplined. The Decatur, or that would be any employee. The Decatur Police Department has committed, and I have committed, to make these findings, these hearings public. As a reminder, the city can only look into potential violations of city policy. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is conducting the criminal investigation. I also want to make a personal comment. Thanksgiving is Thursday. Thanksgiving is a day of reflecting on our blessings and spending time with family and loved ones. For the Perkins family, this will undoubtedly be a hard day. They have an empty seat at their table.
They will be missing their father, husband, brother, and friend. I ask all the Decatur citizens to keep them in their prayers. And beyond that, I ask for the prayers for this process, for justice, for healing, and for peace for all involved, everyone involved. I ask you to join me in praying for Steve Perkins and his family and friends, for those who are hurting, for our law enforcement officers and first responders, and for the city of Decatur. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. All right, we will now move into public comment. Same thing, but I'm just going to say it so we're fair to everybody. I'm going to go in order that everybody signed in, and we do 3 minutes. Come to the podium, address the council, and try to keep it productive. So we'll start with Elena Daly.
My name is Elena Daly. Thank you for doing your job, finally. However, I still would like to call for your resignation after this hearing is concluded, and I would like for all of you to call for his termination after this is all done and said. Going through this tragedy taught this community a huge and very important lesson. You all don't have much idea of what you're doing when it comes to the community and communicating. People get on to me a lot, but instead of lashing out or spreading hate or disappearing, I take that step and I learn. The art of communication is the language of leadership. Any police chief who is too scared to make a statement to the public in public obviously does not have what it takes to have a strong enough hand to discipline and uphold these police officers. Unless, of course, they're on Facebook. These communication lines between you and the police and the community have been shredded, and it is your job to fix it. So this is not a rhetorical question. This is a genuine question. What are you going to do about this? That's it. What are you going to do? Your communication is shattered with this community. You make this speech and it means nothing really to us. That's right. It hurts. What are you going to do to fix the communication here?
Ma'am, I just communicated.
What are you going to do to fix the communication that has been broken?
That's a matter of opinion.
Okay. That's all I got for my 3 minutes, because I really did expect more from the people that are supposed to lead me as a young person.
Thank you, Ms. Daly. Edward Franklin.
My name is Edward Franklin, and I reside here in Decatur, Alabama. Could I ask you a question? The question is, what is the purpose of this meeting?
The purpose of a council meeting is to do a lot of what we just did and then hear from the public if there are people here to speak to us.
Is it also to inform the public?
Yeah, I mean, it's a business meeting where we vote on items that are on the agenda to run the city, and then the mayor and the staff go take those actions and run the city. But yes, I mean, if there are things that need to be.
Do the public have a right to hear what we, as a people, ask you questions? The questions?
Yeah.
Have they been denied that, right?
I'm not sure.
I mean,
Not that I know
as far as I can see and understand, all of the meetings that we've been in and the questions have been asked by us, it has been taken down from your page.
I'm not aware of that.
Is that true?
I don't believe so.
No, sir.
The statement that I made when I first stood up, I don't see it anywhere.
Anybody from Information Systems want Brad in here, John? Has anything been edited?
It's not on my Facebook page, and it's not on a lot of people's Facebook pages. So I'm thinking that it has been deleted, and if it has been deleted, I am afraid that this council has violated my freedom of speech from the First Amendment. I'm allowed to speak, and the people are allowed to hear what I have to say.
We actually, just to clarify, if anything has been deleted or edited, I've not heard of anything like that from anybody that has watched all these meetings, and I would be disappointed. The other thing I would say is we are not actually required to live stream any meeting, but we do decide to do that so more people can tune in to watch. So we aren't required to do that, so that would not be a First Amendment issue. But if anything has been edited or deleted, that would be very concerning to me as well.
Yeah, I can pull up the first statement that I made, and it says that it's no longer there.
Brad?
If that's the case, then I'm afraid that you guys have violated my freedom of speech. And then let me say, it's okay if you want to obfuscate. And it's okay if you want to avoid answering our questions. It's all right, but let the people see it. You know, if you want to sidestep the truth, if you don't want to be honest in this justice for Steve Perkins, just like everybody was listening to what they were saying when they're coming up, making all of these, want all this stuff happen for them in the city. Let the people hear what we have to say too. It's okay if you want to circumvent it, but let me say this: you may kind of like sidestep the truth and not answer the questions that we want answered, but let the people hear you circumvent it, because you're going to have to come one day and tell the truth. It's okay if you want to be trickery, if you want to dodge answering our questions and not being honest. It's okay if you choose to do that, but allow the people to hear it, just like they heard what we was hearing earlier. Allow the people to hear it so they can judge whatever they choose in bringing you back into these offices. It's okay for you to dodge. It's okay for you to use these clever, trickery words that seems like you answering our questions, but are far away from the big picture. It's okay for you to do that, but allow the people to see it. Allow them to hear you. Allow them to see whether or not you are pivoting. Allow them to know whether you're invading our questions. Allow them to see it, because the people that I pastor, they want to hear what I say. But if you take and delete it, you're not giving them the opportunity to see what we feel about justice for Steve Perkins. I mean, that's all. I mean, I know you guys probably call me a troublemaker. But I say it again. You need to stop rocket science into people. Trying to make these people feel that these questions that they're asking is like rocket science. Too difficult for you to do, or too difficult for us to understand. And you're going back, getting those old laws, bringing them back to us, trying to show us. I know what it tells us, that you're not being honest with the people. Now, I'm about finished with it, but we're looking for transparency, accountability, and being honest with the people, and justice for Steve Perkins. That's why we're here. Let the public know. They deserve to know how you stand in this situation.
Mr. Edward, do you know what date you're referring to? I know you said at the beginning, the first time you come up here by chance. Do you know?
You can go back 4 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks.
Okay. All right. I just want to go.
And I haven't been able to pull it up.
Are you referring? I'm gonna do my best. I lost my voice, so I gotta be quiet.
Sir?
Are you referring to the YouTube videos? Or I mean,
I'm referring to any way that you have public to understand what you're doing.
I go back and watch these meetings many times, and I do think I've seen every video on YouTube since.
I had to get a little closer.
Yeah, so I lost my voice, but I have seen these videos on YouTube still. I think a lot of times if you look for videos, you gotta look for the live ones, but I know they're on YouTube.
Well, it may be, but I haven't been able to see it.
Yeah, what?
We hear you, and we'll look into that. I was not aware of anything like that till you just brought it.
I was just concerned about my First Amendment right.
I understand, yes, sir.
Brad, can you come to the microphone, please?
Sir?
He's asking.
He's talking to Mr.
Brad, tell who you are and what you do.
I'm Brad Phillips. I'm the Director of Information Systems. Yes, we're responsible for the streaming. We stream to Restream, which sends the stream to YouTube and Facebook. To my knowledge, nothing has been modified for the past few meetings. Occasionally, we have errors, and we'll have to redo the video and audio. That hasn't happened in months, 6 months or more. I will look into this and see if there is something. I will add, we do not have control over Facebook or YouTube, what they do.
Yeah.
Facebook, you can't edit it, can you?
I think you can edit, yeah. Well, you basically have to delete that post and re-add it, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Brad. Claudette Owens.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you again. I basically don't have any questions for you, but I do have a that was intentional. That was a 6 second that I put on to remind you as you're going through your decisions, all of you, and your recommendations. That was the time that Steve had to respond to what he didn't know was outside of his house. And it was pitch black dark, and I'm sure that alarm probably alarmed some people in here, and you're watching me in light. So I just want to remind you of that as you're making a decision. And I want to remind you, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your statement, but I want to remind you that as we go through Thanksgiving City with our family, Steve will have an empty plate at his face. And he won't be asking Mrs. Perkins, what is she cooking? He won't be listening to his girls tell the family about things that they want for Christmas. He won't be listening, he won't be messing with Hope, and he won't be messing with Nick, and he won't be looking at the end of the day telling Katrella how much he's thankful for her. I want you to remember that as you make your decision.
Justin Shepherd.
Real good.
Sorry, it takes me a little time to get over here. First, I'd like to say thank you to the City Council and the Mayor for showing up, and you guys for coming out. This is Thanksgiving week, and we should find time today to mention things we are thankful for. I want to start off by saying justice for Steve Perkins. I'm thankful for our community. I'm thankful that our community keeps showing up to these meetings. I really am thankful for every one of you guys. I'm thankful for the support some of the churches have shown me. However, this week, I'm thankful to be alive. Some people don't know how heavy of a statement that is. Every single night before I fall asleep, I hear those gunshots being fired into my home. That's what I hear. I will never forget that noise. Some of the members have told me that they're sorry, but I just remain to be convinced. I just want y'all to imagine being in Steve's shoes for a minute and take in what his family has to live with now. I want y'all to imagine being in your home at night and having somebody trying to kill you with rounds hitting your home and you having to jump into fight or flight and having to jump in to defend your life in family mode. I mean, as y'all go to bed tonight, I really want all of you guys, before you lay your heads down, to put yourselves in my shoes and then go put yourself in Steve's shoes. And imagine what life would be like for y'all. You wouldn't know fully unless it happened to you. But to know on top of everything, it's done by the people who you call for help as the ones doing it. It's nearly impossible for me to sleep. Every car that drives by, every knock on the door, every time I see a cop, I wonder if I can trust them to protect me if I need it. Because when I called them, they were the ones that shot my home. I don't think a little patch-up job at my home is fair. I don't think minimizing this murder and attempted murder of my life is something to minimize. Everyone needs to do a serious gut check on this, and I mean it. I hope y'all are pissed. Y'all should be pissed off. If y'all ain't pissed, then you might not really care. In closing, Steve can't sit with his family this Thanksgiving. Steve can't hug his wife, Katrilla, and say, honey, I love you. Think about that when you guys are hugging your wives. Steve can't hug his daughters, Avani and Jada, and play ball with them and tell them he loves them. Steve can't invite his neighbor over for Thanksgiving. This city stole a husband, a father, a brother, son, and friend. There will be an empty seat at the Perkins family table. And if that doesn't bother you, then shame on you. I didn't ask for any of this. Neither did Steve or the Perkins family. But the city should own up to their actions, or they should own up to their actions of their employees and make things right for all parties, including the Perkins family and myself, not just the minimum. And then I have something to say to the mayor. Why'd you put your remarks about the Perkins murder, about the murder of Steve Perkins and the attempted murder of myself in the public comment section, thus further proving my point of marginalizing and minimizing the gravity of this situation? Do you have an answer to that? Okay. And then I spoke with Katrilla before this meeting. That's Steve's wife, in case you guys didn't know. And she had two questions that she wanted me to ask, which were right along with what I had already put in my speech. One, why do the murderers get to be on paid leave during this Thanksgiving? And two, she asked, why do the murderers get to spend Thanksgiving with their families when Steve can't be there for his family?
I do want to try to address one of the questions that was just presented to the best of my knowledge. If the employee in any of our departments was placed on administrative leave without pay, that would be a form of discipline. And then that would prevent the appointing authority, which is me or the mayor, from adding another form of discipline to that. That would be considered double jeopardy. That's the reason that we're in the state that we're in. You can't get in a position of having double jeopardy, and that's the counsel I've received from our legal department.
Larry DeJarnett.
How did that happen in other cities?
We got one coming to the podium here.
I humble myself before an almighty God to the City Council, Mr. Mayor. I stand in the same spot that I stood on November the 6th when I petitioned the Decatur City Council to provide answers to questions me and my family have about the police pursuit that led to the death of my grandson. Let me just stop right there and talk a little bit about being a grandfather. I am the proud grandfather of 14. Of those 14, 8 of them are young boys. So whenever I talk about them, I get choked up because they're so special to me. When I talk about that 14, I get choked up all over. I asked the City Council to provide us with information. During the early morning hours of September the 4th, 2023, the Decatur Police encountered a car that was driven by my grandson somewhere in the city limits of Decatur. The police pursued this car, and the pursuit ended on County Road 270 in Lawrence County. The report that we received accounts for approximately 200 feet. The crash report accounts for approximately 200 feet of the more than 40 miles that it goes from wherever it happened in Decatur to where the crash ended. And the reason I'm aware of that is because I traveled the spot and I tracked it and I clocked it on my mileage to get there to see just exactly how far that it is. But the crash report named 3 Decatur police officers. Now, I stood here in this same spot on November the 6th, and I asked about it. I asked. And allow me to acknowledge some facts, because I don't want to deal with speculation. I believe in dealing with facts. Give me a piece of paper. I just believe that there's a piece of paper somewhere that said on such specific time in the morning of September the 4th, 2023, that the Decatur Police Department saw a white car, and they pursued that white car for some reason, for whatever reason that was. I believe that there is a document that says that when he left the police district of Decatur and went into the police district of Morgan County, that Morgan County has some document somewhere. And then when he left Morgan County, went into Lawrence County, another police district, that there's some document somewhere that explain that. I believe that when he left Morgan County, went into Lawrence County, and then when he went into the city limits of Town Creek, there should be some documents. When he left Town Creek and returned back to Lawrence County, there should be some documentation somewhere. We have not received that. We have not received that. All we get is a crash report that says from the railroad track to where he approximately 200 feet is what we get in a crash report. Let me stop. The chief of police on November the 6th came and spoke with us for a few minutes. I must humble myself and say that was a bold move on the behalf of the chief of police, because he don't realize that he was dealing with a family that wanted to grab him by his throat and choke. He don't realize that. But Mr. Chief and to the council, do you think that you can talk to me for 15 minutes out in the hallway and I'm going to accept that as a response for the death of my grandson? Absolutely not. I want to share something else with you, because I believe that there's a pattern that's going on, not only in Decatur, but in our society.
Yes.
I want to read you something of an incident that happened in our sister, in my county over, and this is Limestone, I mean Madison County, actually, where it happened at, in Huntsville. Huntsville, July the 24th, 2023. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is investigating a motor vehicle crash Friday that involved a Gurley police vehicle that claimed the life of a Tony man. According to troopers, Gurley police officer Christopher J. Whalen was pursuing a Nissan Maximum at approximately 11:45 p.m. The officer's 2008 Ford Explorer struck a Toyota Corolla, driven by a 22-year-old by the name of Matthew Norwood. I want to stop right there. While it shouldn't matter, but Matthew Norwood was a young black man. Seemed to be a pattern here. This happened at the intersection of 565 and Jordan Lane. Norwood was transported to a Huntsville police officer where he was pronounced dead. I'm petitioning once again the city council of the city of Decatur. I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know why it happened. I want to know why was the officers involved. I want to know whether or not there was a supervisor involved, whether the supervisor authorized this when it moved from one district to another district to another district to another district, what officers was involved. I'm a grandfather, but I promise you, I won't rest until I find out some of these answers. I'm going to yield now to another gracious grandfather for the same incident.
Good morning to the mayor and the council. Mayor, do you have any grandchildren?
Yes, two granddaughters.
How old are they?
As 8 and 5.
Okay. I want you to put yourself at this moment in our shoes.
Yes, sir.
That
I did.
grandson, Jaden, my wife and I, that was our first grandson. 16 years ago. And we're still struggling with it. But let me read something to you all. Officials in Walker County arrested a 19-year-old on charges of aggravated cruelty to animals after a pregnant dog was shot and killed with an arrow Wednesday. According to officials, animal abuse investigator Jimmy Van was able to obtain a warrant as a result of him shooting a dog with a crossbow. Greason was taken to the Walker County Jail where he will go before a judge on Friday for a bail hearing. Here's what the sheriff said. We take all crimes very seriously, but animal crimes are even more ridiculous than a lot of others. Can you believe that? This is coming from a sheriff. We will not tolerate animal abuse of any kind, and if we catch you, we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. This is coming from a sheriff. So what this is saying to me, animals and dogs are more important than people. That's right. Especially Stephen Perkins and my grandson. And they was able to arrest this guy the next day. The next day. Now September the 24th, and me dealing with Aaliyah, I had talked with him a while since September the 4th, and he told me that, he said, these officers was young, and he said they were just distraught. They just, when they found out it was a 16-year-old, they just couldn't hardly take it. September the 29th, one of these same officers was still on duty and was involved in Steve Perkins. Now, if he was so distraught, do y'all have any kind of mental whatever to take him through a process for him to still be on duty? If he was so distraught about my grandson, Maybe he shouldn't even been on duty.
That's right.
September 10th.
That's right.
And maybe there is a pattern. Now, we understand that the report that was filed on Steve was false. So now, was the report filed on my grandson a false report? All of that should lead into the investigation y'all doing on Steve Perkins. If this is the same officer, now the chief tells me that, okay, that was not apparently an internal investigation for my grandson.
Wow.
Now I got this, I sent the information to Aaliyah to ask for the video. Now here's what I got back from them. The Traffic Homicide Unit has received your request regarding the audio video recording. The crash of Mr. Deidre was involved is a traffic homicide investigation. So you telling me Aaliyah's doing a traffic homicide investigation and the kid is not even doing an investigation? Now, Aaliyah's doing a homicide investigation. So where's the internal investigation on our grandson? And he said that a subpoena, we need a subpoena to get the video to watch that. But my concern is, I think you all are making it up as you go. Apparently there's not a process. Nobody can answer any questions. What is the process? If they're doing a homicide investigation, let me ask the attorney, what is a homicide investigation? What does that mean?
It involves the death of someone.
Okay. So we got an issue where we involved the death of someone, and Decatur is not doing an internal investigation. Wow. That investigation on my grandson should be part of what you're doing with Steve Perkins. If it's the same officer, so don't separate the two. You can't separate it. You cannot separate it. Because if it's the same officer, we need to look at his whole track record. If he filed a false report on Steve Perkins' case, he probably filed a false report on Jada Deidre case. You can't separate the two. So all I'm asking you all, Mayor, Council, when you make your decision, we gonna get justice for Jada. Because as my other grandfather said, we gonna get justice for Jada. And that, like I said, that was my first grandson. And I'm gonna go to my grave until we get justice.
Roderick Van Daniels.
I'm Dr. Roderick Van Daniel from Birmingham, Alabama. I then I'm an attorney for Marvin Long, Jawan Dallas, who was killed by the police down in Mobile, Alabama, and Pastor Jennings. And I just want to say justice for Steve, and also justice for Jaden. And Alabama has a problem with police brutality, transparency, and accountability. The first thing I want to address is the HB 289 Act for disclosure of a police body camera. Recordings in the custody of a law enforcement agency shall be disclosed to individual or personal representatives only as provided by this act. An individual requesting disclosure of a recording must make a written request to the head of the custodial law enforcement agency that states the date and appropriate time of the activity captured in the recording, or otherwise identify the activities with a reasonable particular sufficient to identify the recordings to which the request refers. As far as to the agency, for notified requester of the custodial law enforcement agency's decision not to disclose the recording, a custodial law enforcement agency may choose to not disclose the recording if disclosure would affect an ongoing active law enforcement investigation or prosecution. So, that being said, the family want to see the video. You have a law that was passed by Congress
in September that allows you to see the videos is going on throughout the state of Alabama right now in Florence. It's going on right now in Mobile, Alabama. I know you heard it. The whole community is hurting right now. For facing this form of injustice, I know it has been weighing heavy on your hearts and your mind. And for this family and this community deserve answers, truthful answers. The family deserve an opportunity to know what happened, what's transpiring during the investigation. For this family only want to know the truth. Put yourself in that situation. Put yourself in their shoes. That could be your son. That could be your husband. That could be your grandson. Enough with the silence. Enough with the evasiveness. Enough with the secrets. This community deserves the truth. America is the greatest country in the world, but they have flaws. We have flaws, but today we standing up for this community here of Decatur, Alabama, the whole state of Alabama. And for this family, just want to know who's going to be the voice for them. You are the elected officials. They elected you to be their voice, to stand up for justice for them and to fight for their rights. So the only question that I have today for this community, for the city council, and also for the state representatives, because this Act, HB 289, will pass by Congress. Who's gonna be the voice for Steve? Who's gonna be the voice for Jaden? Justice for Steve and justice for Jaden.
Maurice Ayers.
Can you not give everybody your undivided attention when they're at the microphone instead of playing with your cell phone or your phone or your watch?
To the mayor, council, and the citizens of Decatur. I came today as a citizen of Decatur. I'm gonna read this, then I'm gonna talk. I came today as a citizen of Decatur, residing in District 1 for 48 years of my life. I wanna stick to the facts at hand, and the one fact that keeps overplaying in my head as I have not been vocal until now, as I awaited due process. The one fact was your announcement of your resignation as mayor when you announced you would not reseek election over a month ago. I say resignation because from that point on, you have not been here mentally or physically. In your position as mayor, one of the prior objectives is stewardship over the taxpayers' money. I ask for two things of you at this time, both based off of the chief's decision that the officers violated policy and procedures. This is both a civil matter and a criminal matter based on the killing/murder of our taxpaying citizen, Steve Parkins. Therefore, normally the family will seek civil compensation. I ask the only decision you make is the recommendation to fire all the officers involved, and not only the officers, but anyone involved in the event that led up to the cover-up. I ask for termination because if they resign, they may seek employment and involve themselves in other communities elsewhere. Secondly, I ask that you be proactive in the civil process and operate expeditiously so that the family and the city can begin to create a healthy atmosphere for the citizens of Decatur. Last but not least, if you feel that you cannot mentally make the recommendation I ask of you, Mayor Tal Bowden, I ask that you resign and for the decision to be turned over to the Department of Justice due to conflict of interest. That is my ask of you, Tal. Now, as I read that, I've listened to what everyone has had to say. And reading is just a statement that I made, so I read that because I prepared it. Now, as of personally, in 2016, I was one of the main people that gathered everybody in the community to vote for Tab. I was one of those guys. As he came into my job at Somerville Road Elementary, which was located inside Brookhaven at the time, and we sat down and we talked on a plan to include me, some of my friends, Mr. Gordon, and others in the community, because at that time, Mr. Bolden was the best result for us in our community. After that time, I've had altercations with the mayor. Several Facebook going back and forth. He even brought me to his office and we sat down and discussed the city manager form of government and why he could not take a part of that because he could not support his family, which means he's here for the money. When he said that he would not re-seek election, is because he wants to carry on 2 more years as we pay our taxes and he can retire with the status and live up to his retirement with his 2 grandkids and his family and everything be okay. So I want you to take, and let me go back. We had conversations before. We had Facebook conversations. We had all this. And I was called by my boss and asked to take down the conversation because Tab Bolden called my boss. But as my servitude for the kids of my community and the kids I service every day, I took down the post because we seek money from the care. So it's today, my gloves are off. I'm tired of sitting back watching this fiasco with Tab Bolden. Tab, you need to resign if you cannot make the decision to fire those officers and place criminal charges upon them. I understand the fact that the city has sought out legal counsel. No, sir, that's you hiding. The responsibility is yours when we elected you to make these decisions.
Man up.
So at this point, Tab, I would like for you to be the man that you say you are. To be the Christian man that you came to me and said that you were. To be the man of God that you came to my father's funeral and stood beside me during that time. Be a man of God. Be a kingdom man. And make a decision that will affect this city forever. Thank you.
Well, how y'all doing? I got a few things I need to say. First of all, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna go along with some of these guys. When you was running for the election and all this stuff, you was at churches, you was sitting among the black people at churches. You was at Mr. Gordon barbecues and fish fries and all that. And the other day I was looking at Facebook and I seen where you put on there, Mr. Gordon taught me this. You can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. Is that right? Now you put that on there, and there was a plate with your food on there, all that stuff. Evidently you failed that class, because ever since Steve been killed, we haven't seen you show up. And you had to show that you care. You know, I'm not here to bash you, but some words you say, you need to stick to them. You understand? Now, my next thing, y'all talking about doing policy and procedures. I used to work at the plant, and I bagged over some pallets. I had to go get drug tested. So when these officers, when they ran their grandson off the road, they should have been getting drug tested.
Yeah.
When they killed Steve, they should have been getting drug tested. Not sent home. And now, you said y'all doing an investigation with witnesses. Who are the witnesses of y'all investigation?
That's part of the proceeding.
Hold on. I don't want to know their name. I don't want to know their name.
No, we're not going to
Okay,
discuss
okay.
that proceeding, President, because that, the mayor has shared what the proceeding will be, and we will give the results of that. But that's all we can discuss, President. I appreciate the question, we just can't answer that, President.
Now, y'all heard he said he can't answer this. So have y'all talked to all the witnesses?
I told you we're not going to answer any further questions.
Well, you don't have to answer, sir. You don't have to answer.
Well, because I'm only trying to be fair.
Listen. And I'm sorry for raising my voice. I'm sorry for raising my voice. But you don't have to answer it, okay? Because I know y'all haven't talked to all the witnesses. Because there was one witness there that night.
Well, if you've got some witnesses you know about, you share those so we can talk to them.
And that's what I'm trying to do now. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I'm trying to be transparent. I know I'm big, but hey, I'm trying to be transparent. Y'all done talked to a witness that was out there that night and seen the officers before ABI got out there. And they weren't picking grass up. They were picking shells up. Y'all need to talk to that witness. And if y'all need to get in touch with that witness, here I am. Talk to me. Y'all do it. I was there. They told me to get in my car and leave. And I was finna cuss them out. But I said, no. I ain't going nowhere. This is 6th Street and this is my neighborhood. So I leaned up against my car. And it didn't dawn on me at first what was going on. And I'm gonna say this in front of everybody. So if something happened to me, which I ain't scared,
We know.
but if something happened to me, y'all know why.
You got it on camera. Likewise.
The Decatur police told me to go get in my car.
I see.
And I leaned up against my car. Because at the time, I'm looking over there Justin, because the only thing I got was Steve, neighbor Steve, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, because Steve my cousin. So I get up, I'm throwing on my clothes, I'm trying to make sure that his parents don't get the wrong story, his family don't get the wrong story. So while I'm standing there, like I say, Decatur City Police picking up shells off the side of his house. And I said to myself, somebody had to get shooting from over there. Steve truck wasn't there, Steve was there. Then the ABI guy walks up to me, asked me who I am. I gave my name and my number and everything. He said, well, only thing I can tell you, it was officer involved shooting. So now I quit looking at Mr. Justin, because I'm ready to go ahead and do something to Mr. Justin. Because that's what I was thinking in my head, that the neighbor got into it. Now, the ABI come over and say, only thing I can tell you, it was officer involved shooting. And if I would have known then, I would have been recorded. But see, one thing about it, y'all can't tame my character, because I ain't never been arrested. I don't have nothing on me, nothing. Then the ABI came and told me that Steve passed. So y'all ain't talk to all the witnesses. And when you get done, y'all get in contact with me. I'll be glad to see y'all.
Rodney Gordon.
Hey, what's up? Hey, listen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you don't have to get that.
All right, okay. Hey, this what's up. Listen to me. Question for Tab. You got the statement from the chief. What are you gonna do?
I read what I was gonna do.
Okay, do it take you 6 months to read the deposition? How long did it take you to come up with? Did you state that the shooting, that there was a just cause for the shooting?
Look, Mr. Gordon, I read what I was gonna do.
I'm talking about that you make a statement to the media that it was a just cause for the shooting.
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay, now, I need you to explain to us right here. He gave you the paperwork. So what is your job now?
I'm the appointing authority.
Okay, so what do? You say you say yay or nay, whether they violated or not.
Did you hear me read my statement?
Listen to me, that's answer my question.
Did you hear me read my statement?
Now, you know what, y'all, I'm tell you something. See how smart he acting now? Yeah. But now he was trying to get voted in. Yeah. I was his boy. You understand? I rolled with him all the way. Yeah. It's some folks in my hood voted for you because of me. Yeah. Because I told them to with my influence. And now you getting up here on the bench, you're trying to be smart. You understand? You see, that really pissed me off. Okay. Yeah, you pissing me off, man. Yeah. Because you use me. Yeah, now you. get smart. You know what I'm talking about? Now I'm asking you a simple question. I said, so what do you do now? He gave you the paperwork. You determine whether they're fired or not, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fire them then. What you waiting on? You want your city to burn down? You want the people? You want your neighborhood to treat it just to go in trash? What you waiting on, man? I can't hold these people back. These people mad, man. They mad at you, not him. You, cause you hold the key. It's your time to man up. You saw the film I saw. You know it was wrong. They hung the chief out the drive, gave him the wrong report. He read it. That was the wrong report. He had a gun, and we asked him to put his gun. The man ain't had no gun. If he did have one, he's in his own yard. He had a right to have it. So don't see. You brought this man up here, the Facebook man. Come up here and explain to them how you use this. Well, explain this. You trying to justify the Facebook page, so bring it up here and justify the shooting. Tell them why it's taking so long to come with it. What is the process, y'all? It's like 10 days, 15 days, 13. What's up with all that, man? It's a yes or no situation, man.
Mr. McMaster.
And here's the thing I don't understand, y'all. In Memphis, when them black boys killed that black boy, 4 days they was in jail. 4 days. What? 4 days. I don't want that, man. 4 days with that. Listen to me. 4 days. So why is it taking so long for these guys to be arrested? Okay.
Can we answer that question?
Yeah.
I mean, well,
go ahead.
Herman, there is a process. I think that's what your question is. The internal investigation's done. What does the next phase look like before there's discipline or not?
Okay. Yeah. Come on. Let me say this.
I'm trying to answer.
Yeah, but we want to know this.
And I'm not trying to defer, but we have an attorney that knows that exact process. There's a day notice that's given to the employees once the internal investigation was done. That was done Thursday. Is that correct, or Friday? Friday. Okay. So is it 7 or 10 days?
Well, let me share.
Thank you.
Okay.
The answer is the mayor's already he's given a written statement as to that.
What was his statement?
Well, I'm sorry, he read it. Here's what it says, best I can remember.
Okay, yeah.
All right. The attorneys will provide him a written notice. He sits basically as the judge of this matter. So in order, he has been waiting, and we're going to provide him the information that we have in the form of a notice to give to city employees and farmers, okay? And that's going to happen this Wednesday.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on.
We'll make that public Wednesday?
No, this is not a public. This is a meetings between this is a private situation.
Okay.
At this point, now if it goes to the personnel board, it becomes public.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. All right.
Stop. When it goes to the personnel board, it's made public. Y'all got that? Listen to me, y'all. Listen to me. When it goes to the personnel board, it's made public. Now go ahead.
All right, but we hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
All right, so basically then there will be, in the notice to the employees, there will be a date set. We're working on getting that accomplished. We anticipate the week of December the 4th. It's what the mayor shared, okay? And we're preparing in between so we can have that notice, and then once the notices are given, there will be hearings. Each employee will be given their own notice. Each employee will be given their own hearing, and then the mayor will make a decision on each of those hearings, what's been presented. If at that point, after he makes that decision, it's put in writing, at that point, if the employee is not satisfied with the decision of the mayor, then we get to the part, it's appealed to the personnel board, which will be a public hearing.
Got you. Now, stop right there.
Okay.
How many of these officers, how many of them would be interviewed? How many of them have been charged?
I'm not going to go in. It's more than one.
Now, see, this is the problem with me, y'all. Everything you ask for them, the first, I can't go into that. We don't know if it's 3 people. We don't know if it's 5 people. How many people is it?
Rodney, okay, help me.
How many officers is it?
I removed it from memory. I think it's 4.
Okay, good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. listen to me. I'm not trying to grandstand anything, but I'm trying to get some understanding. Because a lot of this stuff, y'all, we really don't know. All right, so now we know it's for, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah, okay.
All right, let me say what, all right, it is our goal to move this as properly as we can and as fairly for everybody involved as we can. That's been our goal. We got this Friday afternoon. We're going to move it. We realize that it's already been alluded to, and it's a time, it's Thanksgiving, and that involves different availability of people. But my goal is to move it as quickly as we can. And we have shared with you, we anticipate hearings with these officers the week of December the 4th. And once the mayor's heard that, we're going to, as quickly as he can, we're going to make decisions, and those decisions, as he's already shared, will be made public, okay?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Now I've learned more right in 3 minutes through the whole thing. Because he told us exactly all that.
You did. Walter Orr's next.
First of all, I want to say y'all seen the Catadale newspaper article where I was under false allegations November 6th. I was supposed to have threatened this man, Hunter Pepper, and his family. Now, I do feel like my life is in jeopardy, in danger. I feel like my children's life. I'm in fear for my life. I got cameras on my car every time I go down the road. Why? Because my name was in the newspaper on the front of the Catadale, stating that I had threatened this man, not allegedly, but that I had threatened this man and his family, which I have never had. You all saw this. I don't want to say nothing else after this. I just want to say this right here to y'all. See, y'all know right now, this is bigger than Steve Perkins. This is bigger than black and white. See, we're dealing with a spiritual war right now, and our people waking up. So, you know, when God said put on the whole armor, now I ain't a pastor, but I'm going to preach this to y'all today, because I want y'all to know this. Ephesians 6:11-17 said, put on the whole armor of God, say that you may stand against the wiles of the devil. Did y'all hear me? Put on the whole armor of God, so that ye may stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not by flesh and blood. By what now? For we wrestle not by flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. What have we been going through? So I tell y'all, brothers and sisters, yeah, I do have fear, but not that kind of fear. Because I know Psalms 23, the Lord said what? And I'm going to say this again. That the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to what? To lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for what? His name's sake. And what did he say, y'all? Yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thou rod and thy staff, they comfort me. He said, what thou prepared the table for me where? In the presence of my enemy. But thou anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. He said, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Now notice what he said, y'all. Hold on. He didn't say pray to move it. He didn't say pray to go around it or under it. God said walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And he said put on the whole armor. I'm going to let you know one more. Because see, you open your mouth up on judgment and false judgment. Isaiah 54:17. Y'all hear me? Yes. Isaiah said, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue shall be condemned. What did he say, y'all? Every tongue that what? Rise against thee in judgment, thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of God. What did he say, y'all? And he said, this is the heritage of the servants of God, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. So as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as I walk through these false allegations, one thing I have never done was said anything threatening towards you, brother, and you know it. Your hands are shook in the blood because God is watching you, brother. And he's going to be the final judge because you spoke up on one of his peoples, one of his children, one of his servants, one of his anointed ones who've been righteous and humble through this whole thing. And when you falsely spoke on my name, God has the vengeance, brother.
Patrick Tucker is next.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. As I get ready to make my statement, I'm reminded every time I stand up here of a man that was in the wilderness and he heard a call from a burning bush. And he was called to stand up against a land that had his people in oppression. And this city has had an oppression on it against our people in many different ways. And today I stand up as Moses, not to ask questions, not to make a comment, but I have a few demands that our people want. I agree with what Maurice said, that we want all officers fired. And don't play around with this little system that you have typed up and where y'all treating a sworn officer of the public as a normal employee. So, with that being said, I ask that Mayor Tad Bolden that you resign along with Todd Pena. And we want the councilmen to agree to a comprehensive review of the police department for the leadership changes. And we don't want an inside comprehensive review, but we want a comprehensive review from a third party. Preferably not all Caucasian, but all races. With that being said, we want to know, can you agree to that? Because y'all already have justice in the works, and if y'all don't, we just want to let you know that we already have an FBI agent that is already looking into the case.
I do think we need a third-party outside agency to look at policies, procedures, culture, and leadership.
No, I agree.
Okay, all we need is one more.
Well, yeah. Here's where I would, let me just, and don't take his time. To me, I said this a few weeks ago, but I don't know if everybody's here. The internal investigation there is progress being made. I know everybody may not agree, but we're nearing the end of all of that. That's a big rock. You know, you guys have had what you want to happen. That was one of them. So we want to get to the end of that. The next one for me is what you're asking for. So when we get there, December 4th was a date I heard. That was the first I'd heard that. There's a date. Let's then talk about bringing in a third-party review of policies, procedures, culture, leadership, and I'm for that.
Okay.
So we'll get there.
So do you believe that we will have a 2/3 vote that will agree for that and make it happen?
I can only speak for myself, but I think that when you have an incident like this, no matter what you do, if it was at your church, and it's a major incident, and there's issues that are obvious, you have to do this. You would do this at your church. You would bring in somebody to look at what's going on. We didn't know this was going on. We got to look at it and make some improvements, right? Or major changes. So I would expect, yes, I can only tell you that I strongly support that, and it will be on an agenda at some point, yes.
Please, urgently. And you know, one thing that I was thinking about, in the Bible that says if there's an offense that is caused publicly, it should also be done away or repentative publicly. So that officer,
Sorry, while you're on the topic of that, I actually have a question regarding that.
Okay.
Captain, I don't mean to put you on the spot. You said that you would, or rather a third party look at it. I'm curious to know, the Decatur Police Department is a CALEA accredited agency, correct? That is the accreditation of law enforcement agencies, right? So that would be considered a third party, because don't they have to review each policy? Hold on. Don't they have to review each policy before we implement it? Is it? So they do have to look at each policy, and they do approve each policy. Or how does that process work?
Look, I'm just going to interrupt, sorry, but...
Well, hold on, excuse me, hold on. I'd like my question answered.
Well, you haven't done what?
I'd like my question answered.
Okay.
I'd like my question answered. If you could answer the question. So, does Kalia approve those policies and then we implement them? Is that really how that process works?
They review them and compare them to what's called best practices and lawful policies to make sure that they are proper and effective in regulating the operation of the police department.
And would you say that Kalia is formed by professional law enforcement officers that have at the federal level, county level, state level, and probably municipal level?
It's also international.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, that's great. That's good. Now, I'm not sure. We go through that, and so does every other CALEA accredited agency. I do not think that negates the fact that we need a third party to come in and to review this. I think if you look, not just statewide, but nationally, you'll see many agencies that go through this, that bring somebody in to sit down and go through that. As a matter of fact, Mobile announced it within 24 hours of their incident. So without a doubt, we need to bring in a third party. So again, I can't speak for anybody. You got one, I'll agree that we need to do that.
Here's what I'll say, is that I've been here for almost 30 years. And I've seen where we have brought in outside agencies, Pastor, where before the outside agency gets here, we pretty much know what the outcome is gonna be, okay? And I'm not saying that this is what's gonna happen, but that's what I've seen in the past. I do believe that we need a leadership change in our police department. But I do believe also that with a leadership change, if we bring in the right person for that leadership change, then all of these things are gonna correct themselves if we bring in the right person. Now, if we bring in an outside agency, we may or may not get the impact that we need or we want. So that's why I'm not gonna come out and say, yes, that's what we need to do. Because essentially, again, we've had planning issues and building issues and every other kind of issue that you can think of to come about. And when they come, you know, we already pretty much know what the outcome's gonna be because we're paying for the study. We kind of indicate what we want in the study. So again, I don't know that you're actually gonna get what you want if we do what you're asking for.
Okay, now, just seemed like we're making progress right here.
I mean, that's my perspective.
So just to, I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree. I just wanted to clarify if that was considered a third-party agency reviewing it as well. I didn't know if that would count as a third party. So I wanted to clarify that just in case that question does come up later because CALEA, we are CALEA accredited.
Yeah, it's like a accreditation like I have at the funeral home.
So yeah,
so it makes sure that the licensing is legit. But, you know, somebody that comes in not to just review policy, but the actions that are interacted with the policy. Because we can all have policies, but we'll find loopholes and ways to get around those certain policies according to, you know.
What a real review looks like for me is interviews with officers, interviews with you, all of you in here, people in the community. Because I guess what I have heard for the past 7 weeks, a lot of what I've heard, and not just sitting here, but private conversations, this is not and I'm not going to speak to the hypothetical situation, but this is not something that I've heard from you that started 2 years ago. You've had concerns in the community with policing for a long time.
Long time.
So to say just a leadership change, we've had several of those, and I get what you're saying, but it sounds like it's more of an issue that survives leadership changes.
But that's true, but then by the same token, and the reason that I say that is because there have been leadership situations in this city where if they had been in, I think the policies and procedures that we have in place have loosened so that this situation happened. And had we had the leadership that we've had in the past, this never would have happened. And I'm not talking about drawing out this Steve Perkins situation. I'm talking about the Steve Perkins situation, the DeJarnette situation. They never would have happened. So that's why I say a leadership change can make up for what we've lost. And that's why I call for leadership change.
I just remember.
Because again, I don't know that, yeah, people have been calling for some of these things for quite some time. But the fact, very simply, is we've had strong enough leadership so that these things never would have happened.
And I remember parents, the first meeting we had the Monday after Steve was killed on Friday, you brought up some real issues that from what I understand have been going on for a long time. That's where maybe, but I mean, it's a good.
I think you're always gonna have situations when you have a police department. You're always gonna have situations. But the fact very simply is that policies and procedures have to be in place that don't allow situations like this to happen. And I think that we have had those, not only in the past, but in the recent past.
I don't think we're arguing it either.
Okay.
Right.
Councilman Pike, just a point of information. I think this last incident in Mobile, where I talked to Mayor Stimson last week, where he stopped pre-dawn raids, things of that nature, and then sought a third party to come in, was after multiple incidents had occurred in the city since the first of the year.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Okay. You know, from recent researches, it seems that our policies are perfectly in line, but it's just the people that follow that we have a problem with. So I would say, I agree with Councilman Jackson. I think we need a whole new leadership from the top all the way down to the captains and sergeants. Because if you look at the ratio of our officers, I believe what will help us also is hiring African American officers and Hispanic officers in our communities that know our culture, versus it's only 6 African American officers on the force now. And it was 20-something when Nate was here. And Nate was a community involved chief. I saw Nate, you know. He came to my church and even spoke to our young people when it came to, you know, how do you handle officers at a traffic stop. We learned from Nate that you don't argue with an officer. You just take the ticket and you argue in court.
I'm just gonna ask something, Captain. Sorry again. I tell you what. This is more of a. I don't think that the change in leadership has anything to do with the loss of officers when it comes to race, in my personal opinion. I know officers, I know African American officers and Hispanic officers that have left our department prior to the chief change to go to a department for higher pay. As it's not very, there's a department 10 minutes from here that pays $10,000 more a year starting out than we do. So I think that's a big factor there as well, because I know personally 2 of those officers that left us and went to those departments prior to the chief change.
All right, this is a compromise. Can we raise ours to where we can keep our officers that we need?
I support it every day of the week. I think all first responders, not just police, fire too deserves a higher pay than what they get right now. And I think that there's a process every single year to where we look at where they can get an increase, not just fire and police, but everybody gets a yearly COLA increase and things like that. And then we try to create more incentives for people to want to come here and work here. But I think over the past several years, with the way that society has changed, people are not wanting to be the police anymore because the police is not being able to. There's a lot of scrutiny involved, I guess, with law enforcement, especially when the ones that do their jobs the way that they're supposed to do their jobs, they get scrutinized for it. They do. They get criticism for it. And I mean, it's very hard. At the last meeting, somebody made it aware. My brother's a police officer. He's a county deputy, and we talk all the time about his job, and he has a hard job. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a hard job, and I tried getting ready to come over to the city. The city pays more than the county does, but he doesn't want to come over here. He likes the county. So that's why I personally don't believe that it has anything to do with the race in this situation.
Well, I have to disagree, because a lot of the officers that we deal with that decide to stay, sometimes they need to be mentally evaluated, because those are the ones that were picked on in school. And now they got a badge, So these are some things that we do need to come to the table, and I'm done, come to the table and talk about. Because, yeah, we can talk about all the feelings and everything. And Mayor, we need you to do your job and fire these officers. They were wrong. And other than that, we need to talk about how we can improve our police department. And I'm done.
Thank you.
Well, there will be new neighbors.
All right, Our next council work session will be held on November 27th, 2023 at 5 p.m. The next regular council meeting will be held on December 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Mayor, anything else?
Yes, sir. One of our directors said during my statement that I said the hearings would be public. I don't recall saying that. But the hearings will not be public. The findings will be made public.
The appeal, if they appeal to the personnel board, is a public hearing, but the hearing he's discussing, the 1st of December, is not public, but the results will be.
So December 4th, we'll find out the findings of what the mayor.
Sometime that week.
Sometime that week's what our goal is.
Yes. But we'll update if that changes. I can't, look, people always want to chime in at the end. We cannot do that. Is there anything else from council? If you guys want to talk and during the meeting, you can sign in before the meeting starts. I'm sorry, we just can't allow this Q&A. I appreciate people that sign in. Yes, the next council work session is November 27th at 5 p.m. Next regular council meeting, December 4th at 6 p.m. All right, anything else from council? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.